Welcome to our program, Professor Sreekala Nair.
Thank you very much.
It's a program called Oro Talks, which we are doing with the help of the Ministry of Culture. They have given us financial support to conduct this program. And so we thought, first of all, because in the previous budget they had given, I had brought out a book on Aurobindo's multiple personality. I mean, Aurobindo the man, he was a journalist, a poet, an author, and philosopher, psychologist. We got about 24 different dimensions of Aurobindo, 24 different authors. So having done that, I thought it's time to now relate Aurobindo to world thinkers. He's not just a man standalone, but I want to see that he's also related to the world thinkers at present, contemporary. So I got onto this idea that we'll have a book called Aurobindo and the World Thinkers. So that's how I got to invite a few of my friends and authors. And I'm thankful to you for sending me a beautiful article on Aurobindo and David Chalmers. And the way you have titled it. In the beginning, I was not able to understand ways to resolve the hard problem of consciousness going beyond the West. Because as you know, I'm not much adept with David Chalmers. But after going through your article, I've seen how close they come to each other. And as you very rightly wrote here, that to read both of them, Aurobindo and David Chalmers, is complete our conceptions of consciousness. They are complementary, and it's very important to read both of them because something that Aurobindo has not covered, Chalmers has covered, and Chalmers something that he could not answer, we find answers in Aurobindo. And that's how your title of Going Beyond the West becomes very relevant. That how in the Eastern world, in the Vedic philosophy, we have the fullness of all this contemporary quest, be it Chalmers or be it anybody. So I found it very, not only relevant, but for my personal reading, it was really important to know the things that people are looking at, not knowing Aurobindo, and yet converging in Aurobindo's thoughts somewhere or the other. So, Professor Sreekala, I'm very grateful to you for enlightening me personally, because my area was very restricted to Aurobindo. But being restricted to Aurobindo, I have my own problems. In the sense, I'm not much adept to the modern jargon of philosophy, which we call universal consciousness, and you have brought in the concept of cosmos psychology, psychicism, panpsychism. In the beginning, it did bother me, what is all this big word? But after all, nothing but the universal consciousness, psychic consciousness, that's what Aurobindo would write. So when I translated them to Aurobindo, I got it clear. But then I would like you to clarify a few things. And I'm asking you this thing more for the sake of the listener and the reader, listener to your the talk today, and the reader of your article when the book comes out published. Because this interview is more to facilitate the listener and the reader. So I'll be asking you a few clarifications from their angle, not only for my personal knowledge, but to help the reader and the listener. So take it in that way, it's more clarification.
Sure.
You see, you have written on the third page of your article, you have explained what's the meaning of the hard problem of consciousness. And I've seen that David Chalmers is the person who kind of coined this phrase, this question of a hard problem of consciousness. Now you have also explained here what the easy problem and what is the hard problem. But now can you really give it a kind of a little explanation in a simpler language for the sake of our listeners?
So, thank you very much, Professor Ananda Reddy. Lovely meeting you once again. I'm really proud of the work that Sakar is doing. And you said that you're confined to Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo has, his way of writing is that he brings everything into his writing. And so much so that you don't have to read anything else. Like as we say with regard to the Shastras, that Adhyatma Vidya Vidyanam. If you know Adhyatma Vidya, you know the rest of the sciences. So that is to your being confined to Sri Aurobindo. And with regard to juxtaposing Sri Aurobindo with contemporary thinkers, I really applaud your thought, because as you have rightly pointed out, that Sri Aurobindo seems to be reliving amidst us whenever we read philosophers and their arguments and presenting theories on consciousness. I always feel that he is being resurrected, brought back, reliving amidst us, engaging, conversing with the current thinkers. And one such instance is where he seems to be conversing with David Chalmers. David Chalmers, I don't think I need to introduce Chalmers to researchers in consciousness studies. He's an Australian scientist come philosopher, and he's the leading figure among several fields of consciousness research. Broadly, we can divide the current consciousness research into three: the reductionist approaches, the non-reductionist approaches, and the phenomenological approaches. The reductionists try to reduce consciousness to the brain and say that there is nothing more in the mind which is not in the brain. So they are largely materialists, like, you have Daniel Dennett, several of them, Kim, Jerry Fodor, Churchlands, with a husband and wife, several others, who think that mind can be created with brain. They go along with the science. They also say that there will come a time when science will develop in such a fashion that we will resolve all our puzzles regarding consciousness, and we no more will need this clan called philosophers. Philosophers can go home, take rest, because the science will take care of consciousness. So this is the proposal. And
Plato will not be happy with you if you say that, huh?
Pardon?
Plato will not be happy with you if you say philosophers can go.
Starting from Yajnavalkya through Plato down to contemporary thinkers like Sri Aurobindo and Chalmers, who are all non-reductionists, will not be happy with this proposal at all. Why? Because they say that there is an explanatory gap between the meager input that we get as sense datum and the torrential output that comes out as our subjective experience. So there seems to be a huge gap that falls between the meager input that we get through the senses and the torrential output as our subjective experience, which comes in the form of science, poetry. As Sri Aurobindo says that in no way, in beautiful criticisms of the reductionist attempt, Sri Aurobindo, which, Sri Aurobindo's criticisms of the reductionist attempts resonate a lot of David Chalmers. That's what we. And he says that this very attempt by the materialists is all failure, because he says that they fail to see the gap between. They see that there is a gap between the matter and the psyche. I'll come to that. But to come to your question now, the non-reductionist camp and the leading member being Chalmers, he says that we have two problems to resolve in consciousness: the easy and the hard problem. The easy problem addresses the origin of consciousness, how consciousness originates, which we can understand by brain mapping, by understanding the neural networking, which the contemporary science is able to do. The contemporary neurophysics and neurology is able to understand how consciousness or awareness, simply the awareness, how the awareness has been generated. So there is no riddle or puzzle regarding that. But the hard problem always remains hard. The hard problem addresses the issue that I have raised. That is the principle of qualia. qualia is the subjective experience. You see, regarding awareness, there are two problems. One is what is, and the other is what it is like. That is, when I said that this is a glass, this is an awareness. And then you have a subjective awareness, which is called qualia. In qualia, you have the experience of what it is like. So this what it is like experience is something that we will not be able to understand by brain mapping or neural networking.
What do you
And
mean by what it is like? I mean, what is the meaning of what is the glass like? Is it some other object or? I mean, what are you trying
no,
to understand by what it is like? Like means like someone else or something else?
no. See, it is the subjective experience. Like, I'm sure the experiences that you and I have on the same object are pretty different. That is how, the lot of poetry, all that comes. See, the same tree, me and Kalidas see, but then Kalidas see it differently, and I see it differently, right? So, this kind of what it is like experience, which enriches our culture, the whole of the human culture, is the result of this having had this experience of what it is like,
Yeah.
including science. And therefore, he says this aspect of the qualia, what it is like, and the explanatory gap that I spoke about, and also he also argues that consciousness is not something accidental. It is not an accidental property that emerged from matter, and several features of consciousness, like Sri Aurobindo speaks beautifully about the creativity, the non-locality, all these features of consciousness have been set aside by the materialists. So Chalmers say that we need to attend to this. We can set aside those wonderful qualities of consciousness and reduce consciousness to the brain. By that, we are not trying to understand consciousness at all. That's it.
Right. Yeah, that's at least a very good clarification. This one, second one that I got stuck up was panpsychism comes in two forms, constitutive and non-constitutive. The former claims that the macro-phenomenal properties are grounded wholly or partially on the micro-phenomenal properties. Can you give a little more throw light on this?
Yeah. So just to give a travelogue, I will not take more than 1 minute for that. See, Chalmers, his travelogue can be described in three phases. In the first phase, he criticizes the materialist positions, and then he argues, it's a bit intricate, but then if you have time, then later on I will do that on the conceivability possibility argument and the zombie thought experiment and so on and so forth. So it will be very interesting. And then he moves on to his naturalistic dualism, wherein he says that consciousness is something supervened onto the brain. Consciousness cannot be identified with brain, but it is something supervened on the brain. And therefore he says that it is natural, but then still it remains as an enigma. And he says, then he hopes that we can have psychophysical laws. Now currently we have only physical laws. Now he hopes that the science enlarges itself and then incorporates the psychological laws as well, so that we can explain consciousness. So now, in third phase, he moves on to panpsychism, where he is subscribing to what is called the constitutive panpsychism. This panpsychism, you all might wonder that Chalmers, who seems to be a scientist, who totally relies on science and its progress and places trust in science, all in a sudden how he becomes a panpsychist. And so there were several people who thought that he is thinking of different things. But he claims legacy from Bertrand Russell. Bertrand Russell, towards his last days, he wrote in panpsychism, and he takes legacy from that. And there are two types of panpsychism. One is constitutive and the other is non-constitutive. Now, as you all know, panpsychism means that there are psychical elements that exist at the fundamental properties. Now, Chalmers subscribes to what is called constitutive panpsychism. The thesis is that even in the atomistic elements, which he calls as quiddity, in quiddities, there are psychic factors, and it is these psychic factors which get combined and later form in or come out in and blossom itself in the human brain. So this is the theory. In the non-constitutive panpsychism, they say that psychic elements are not in the micro entities or the QDTs, but rather at some point they emerge. So they subscribe to what is called emergentism. Sri Aurobindo has been very critical of emergentism. He says that, see, only like can produce the like. Matter at no point can produce consciousness unless consciousness is already placed in matter. And that is exactly what Sri Aurobindo does. He talks about the descent of consciousness, where consciousness conceals itself and places itself in the matter, and slowly it unfolds itself and the consciousness comes out because it is already there in the matter. When there is no consciousness or the psychic element in matter, matter will not produce consciousness. That's what Sri Aurobindo says. Yes.
But what do you exactly mean by the word psychic? Is it something spiritual element or Atman, or is there another parallel word for that psychic?
By psychic, I mean mental. The physical and the mental. See, for instance, this glass follows the laws of the physics, right? Because we have the physical theories, what the physics proposes. But the mental do not follow the natural laws, right? So they are different elements. They are different entities that follow different norms, different rules, right? So that is what Chalmers was saying, that we should have the psychic laws also incorporated into the physical.
The psychic law means the mental laws, is it?
Mental.
Good. Now, the third question that you have taken up is regarding this combination problem, where you write about the decombination and the combination, how a cosmic consciousness creates individual finite minds that are conscious as well as remain part of the cosmic consciousness. This is, of course, I can understand, but how does Chalmers bring in this question of decomposition and decombination and combination, the infinite becoming the individual? He comes very close to Sri Aurobindo here, but I want to see from Chalmers' side.
Yeah, sure. See, when Chalmers subscribes to panpsychism, as I have already said, he subscribes to constitutive panpsychism, or what he calls as pan-proto-psychism. That is the theory that he subscribes, pan-proto-psychism, where he says that the QDTs have the psychic elements within it, along with the physical elements. Now, there emerges a problem, like how is this micro-psychic entities get formed or evolve and make such an enlarged, sophisticated type of awareness called the human brain? There is no theory. This is what is called the combination problem. How is it that these micro QDTs combine, grow, and then form a sophisticated human awareness which has lots of tendencies? We know that only 4% of a human brain has been explored. And the creativity, the immense creativity that human brain has. I have written somewhere about the creativity. And Sri Aurobindo has, he is an encyclopedia on all this. And I only wish that the young mind, this is not part of your question, but nevertheless, given this chance, I must say this, that I really wish that the young minds do explore a lot. Probably he was writing so fast that he gives insights there and here and there. And it is for us to pick them up and then enlarge it. And I really hope that they do. So to come to the combination problem is how this gets combined and become the sophisticated human brain. And now the decombination. And to resolve this combination problem, people like Philip Goff, Ichishani, some of them, they propose that, this micro panpsychism will not work. So instead, we should think of a cosmic psychism, what they call as cosmopsychism. So we should have a cosmopsychism. What does cosmopsychism say? That there is a psychic at the cosmos level. Call it Brahman, for instance. In the Indian language, let us consider to make the reader understand. See, for instance, Brahman is a cosmic psyche. So there is an absolute psyche at the top. So that it is already been presupposed that there is a very sophisticated psyche existing at the top. And it is this psyche that makes this individual PDTs get combined. And therefore, the combination problem gets resolved. But then there comes another problem called decombination problem. What is the decombination problem?
Yeah.
Why should, after all, the cosmic psyche think of coming down? He can be happy there. Why no one will willingly offer, be a part of suffering, and he can very well be there. What makes him come down, descend, and then be part of us? Sri Aurobindo is a beautiful example. And both the combination problem and the decombination problem. And by the way, Chalmers only make these problems explicit. He doesn't resolve. He has no solutions in his hands. And E.G. Shani and Philip Goff, they say that cosmopsychism resolves the combination problem. But there is a decombination problem which no one has resolved. I must say that I have got these insights from Swami Medhananda's recent article published in 2022, where he speaks about Sri Aurobindo's wonderful contribution to resolve this decombination problem that still worry the minds who work in research on consciousness. So this unresolved puzzle of decombination has been wonderfully resolved by Sri Aurobindo by, the three principles. One is self-variance, ekoham bahusyam. Quoting the text, Sri Aurobindo says that, by Leela, the principle of Leela, he adopts the principle of Leela. And so the divine consciousness plunges into deep ignorance or insentience willingly. And Sri Aurobindo says that one has to be very daring to do that. Only divine consciousness can do. Beautiful. It's wonderful to read it. So this daringness to come down, because it is very sure that it can go up. See, nobody will jump into insentience and suffering unless you are aware and that you are able to ascend.
Yeah.
So Sri Aurobindo speaks about this descent. That is how he resolves. So I said about self-variance, that is one. And then ekoham bahusyam, one as I am. It is by Leela that divine consciousness descends. And the second is by self-limitation. He speaks about 7 codes where, the matter, life, mind, and then supermind, then Satchidananda. That is Ananda, Chit, and Sat. That is how it ascends. By adopting limitations, imposing, self-imposed limitations. And he, compares it with the circle, which has different points and function as centers, different centers. He says Jiva is like that. And the third is what is called exclusive concentration. That is when Jiva, the exclusive concentration. So Sri Aurobindo says, when Jiva is self-focused, it sets aside the rest of the thing. Quite like a wave, though it is placed in the sea. So this is the example Sri Aurobindo gives.
Yes.
The wave, when it is placed in the sea, it identifies itself as a wave and forgets that it is a part of a big sea. So this is what is called exclusive concentration. These are the 3 principles by which he explains decombination.
Yeah, and now I think you have shifted to Chalmers and a bit of Shankaracharya comes in here. And you have given a very good definition given by Chalmers in his book Reality Plus, the 7 categories, or the 7 characters. What is the permanent thing?
5.
What is real? So reality has existence, reality has causal power, reality has mind independent, reality as non-illusoriness and reality as genuineness. My question here is, does Shankara fulfill all this when he is calling what is real? Because according to Shankaracharya, what is real? Do they have these characteristics or something more or something different? You see, you have noted somewhere later on what you say, non-dependence and persistence. That is Shankaracharya. For him, the reality is non-dependence and persistence.
Very true.
So the Brahman is the non-dependence and persistence. So these are the two characteristics, or anything more for Shankaracharya?
Professor Anand Vaidya, he has written a paper on comparing Chalmers and Shankara. Though I don't subscribe to many of the views of Anand, who is my good friend, but nevertheless, see, what Anand argues is that for Shankara, these 5 principles, the 5 characteristics plus 1. S6. What is this S6? Yes. That S6 is reality is that which has permanence across time. Because see what Shankara says, he speaks about the 3 levels of reality. If you remember, Pradibhasiga, Vyavaharika, and Adhyatmika. So where he says about the dream objects gets extinguished in the Vyavaharika phenomenal world, and the phenomenal reality gets extinguished at the absolute level. So the reality, according to Shankara, is that which survives across time, permanency. All right. He in fact adds up as an S6 to the S5 given by David Chalmers.
Here you have used a very important phrase where you say that, in fact, according to Ananda Vaidya only, choose to label Shankara as one who subscribes to a graded notion of reality, then as an illusionist. This is a very intriguing, calling Shankaracharya not as an illusionist but a graded notion of reality. What is this graded notion of reality? I mean, can Shankaracharya be called a graded a realist of graded with different grades?
Yeah, what they mean is, see, when he speaks about these 3 levels of reality, see, there is a bad reading of Shankara. We call him as an illusionist. And that is the greatest charge against him, because, when he says that this world is not real, well, then we don't care for this world. But that type of reading, true Advaitin would call Shankara an illusionist. But nevertheless, that's a popular reading. But these scholars, they say that, there are Al-Bihari, Anand Vaidya, all of them, they say that Shankara should be seen as someone who is subscribing to a graded notion of reality, where Pradibhasika is real. See, the dream tiger that I experience has at least 2-3 characteristics that we have enlisted in this S1 to S6. For instance, it has causal power. I sweat. If I'm a person with heart disease, I might even die seeing the tiger in the dream, because it has causal powers, right? Yeah. But it is mind dependent and it is elusive. Except, so it has a lower grade of ontological status. But when we come to Vyavaharika, it has a higher grade. Because here you have a longer persistence, but nevertheless, the object here do not stay across the time. For instance, the pot and the clay. The pot and the clay both have existence, ontological status, but clay has a longer state when compared to the pot. And when you go to the absolute status, it has the Brahman has the absolute and the permanence across times.
You see, in this graded notion of reality, recently I was thinking about calling Shankaracharya an illusionist, in the sense his tremendous impact of this bhakti, what he has written about this on the goddesses or about the Bhaja Govindam and all that. how do you really place all this Bhakti Bhava in Shankaracharya, who is supposed to be an illusionist? I mean, do they combine or do they contradict? Or because one side I see Shankaracharya, his Bhakti Bhava has impacted the Indian society much more concretely than his philosophy of illusionism.
Very true.
And I'm concerned with is what has impacted the society and guided whole Bhakti movement in India. Even till now, you go to Tirupati, the whole thing is Shankaracharya's stotras in the morning. M.K. Subbalakshmi sings about him. So, is illusionism more important to? It is Advaitins have named him as an illusionist, but I think he's really a more realist than Ramanujacharya, or as much a realist as Ramanujacharya or Acharya. Because look at his impact on the society today. So really, should we? That's why I was really happy to see this question of a graded notion of reality, because his bhakti has definitely impacted a lot more. And in our present world, I think the contemporary world, illusionism is less impacting. You look at the present generation. Even the present generation, in my own generation, I never believed the world is an illusion, and I led my life as an illusionist. I was concretely in the world, I worked for the world, I worked for my society. So how do we combine this kind of a theory which doesn't have any placing in the society except in the philosophical corridors of a university? It's not really coming to influence the society anywhere or impact the society. So this question of graded notion of reality, I would adapt to this than to say that Shankara is an illusionist. Would you agree?
I totally agree with you. It's a bad reading and a misconceived reading of Shankara to brand him as an illusionist. He is not an illusionist. And as I've said earlier, no true Advaita Vedantin would brand him as an illusionist. And beautifully you have brought out the Bhakti. Shankara's works can be divided into three: the Bhashyas, the Prakarana Granthas, and the Stutis and the Stotras. And you have rightly pointed out, the Bhashyas and the Prakarana Granthas are read only by the scholars. Not that it is bad. It's very, very needed, very much needed.
Yeah.
But the Stutis and the Stotras are, across India, particularly since Bhakti Prasthana was on, since 13th century, it was there still alive, combining the whole of India. And that is a great contribution of Shankara. And Shankara has beautifully asserted that when you are in the Vyavaharika, you are considering the world is real. And when you are in the Pradibhasika, that world is real. Sitting in the Pradibhasika, you can't speak about the Vyavaharika. As our master, R. Balasubramanian, has beautifully taught us, that is what is called the graded notion of reality. When you are in that particular level, you belong to that level. So that's
you see, it's very clear. You have also mentioned about Sri Aurobindo's experience in Gujarat with the Guru Lele. But on that level in Nirvana, he too saw a completely cinematographic world without life. On a certain level, it was like that. But then he says, I went beyond and then I saw the world once again. So it is on a particular level that the world is illusion, not on every level. Either a level beyond or a below, world is not an illusion. And Shankara himself, he supports that so much. So I'm beginning to understand Shankara more as a graded notion of reality, and we should project him like that instead of a famous illusionist and Mayavadin and all that. I think that was a school of philosophy which has done, I would say, harm. We as present generation professors should revert this reading, as you say, rightly, wrong reading or misreading. Isn't it?
And I must add a word on Sri Aurobindo. He says that he is proposing what is called a realistic Advaita. Now, what he means by realistic Advaita is, this is for the Aurobindonians, that, I see it, it's my interpretation, on two levels, at the ontological level and at the praxis level. At the ontological level, he says that the Chit, in Satchidananda, you have the Chit principle. He calls it as Chit Shakti. So it's a force. And it is this Chit Shakti which becomes the world, the subtle world, which subsequently becomes the manifested world. So it's a real world for him. And it's a real world ontologically. And at the practical level also, he says that, unlike Shankara, he says that there are 3 levels in which you get, the type of release, which is possible in this human life. One is where you have the textual awareness that there is monistic thing, that there is singularity. And at the second level, he says all the names and the forms all belong to Lord Krishna. And at the third level, he says that there is this crowning experience of singularity, unity, where you see only divine consciousness and nothing else. So these, he distinguishes these 3 levels, which Shankara doesn't do. So this kind of realistic Advaita is again a real contribution by Sri Aurobindo. I think he has experienced this in Alipur jail. He has seen, he has written that even the blanket, the jailers, the supervisors, all of them, he see them as Lord Krishna's manifestations.
Yeah.
Experience that makes him probably divide this levels of experience.
Now you have mentioned here the 3 characteristics: Shruti, Yukti, and Anubhava.
Mm-hmm.
And the Sri Aurobindo's emphasis is on Anubhava, isn't it? The third one. And also you mentioned that Shankaracharya himself did not lay stress on Anubhava. You see, he did not lay stress in his philosophy on Anubhava, but something on the Shruti's level. He went to justify himself on the Shruti level, where Sri Aurobindo justifies himself on the Anubhava level. Did I understand it rightly?
I suppose Shankara also gives Shruti, Yukti, Anubhava. This is classical. This is classical. This is classical. And Shankara says, he speaks about Aparoksha Anubhuti. He says, you can know Brahman. See, Shruti at one point you will have to discard it, because he says that Shruti is also Maya. Shruti is also part of ignorance. And then he says only your Anubhava. Aparoksha Anubhuti means the immediate experience. Only your immediate experience would validate the absolute reality. So Shankara, both Shankara and Sri Aurobindo subscribe to this. And one more sentence on this as philosopher. See, Sri Aurobindo in fact speaks along with contemporary epistemologists, which to the community of philosophers here, that experience should be considered, particularly mystic experience, should be considered as a valid epistemic theory, quite like sense experience. And contemporary religious philosophers, they say that religious experience should be considered at par with sensual experience. Why? Because both are immediate. Both have this immediacy. In epistemology, we speak about immediacy. Immediacy means non-conceptual. It is with conceptual exercise that error creeps in. So when it is immediate, both the sense experience, when I say that this is a class, there is no error possible. This is immediate, and so is the case with religious or mystic experience. And therefore, Sri Aurobindo argues, along with very contemporary religious philosophers, like several of them, I forget the names, that there is a theory in Alvin Plantinga, who argues that sense experience and mystic experience should be considered at par. Thank you.
Yeah, see, my question comes here again. When Sri Aurobindo in his book, The Life Divine, 2 chapters are there, Reality and Illusion, etc. There he supports Shankaracharya, saying that, you see, he has had arguments against Shankara on 3 levels again, on the level of experience, on the level of logic, on the level of metaphysics or something. But he says on the level of Anubhava, nobody can challenge Shankaracharya. He says you cannot doubt Shankaracharya or challenge him, because he is Anubhava. So as you are saying about Sri Aurobindo also is based on Anubhava, Sri Aurobindo himself says Shankaracharya is unquestionable, because that is his experience and knowledge, nobody can doubt it. Right. Similarly, so when it comes to the question of logic and all that, we may have lots of arguments against Shankaracharya. Ramanujacharya has given his arguments about dream and illusion. Sri Aurobindo has given his same thing, and also Sri Aurobindo adds his own question of the perspective, etc. But ultimately, if both Shankara and Sri Aurobindo stand by their truth on the level of experience, I think we have no issues between Shankara and Sri Aurobindo. Although Sri Aurobindo has given a huge, two long chapters, but that was more on the logical level, psychological level, metaphysical level. But one line of experience, he says, I dare not touch Shankaracharya on the experience. So I think this controversy that is going between Shankara and Sri Aurobindo is an illusionist and a real Advaitin and an illusionist Advaitin. It's time that we sort of, cancel this kind of a contradiction and collusion between the two philosophers.
I want to make a comment on this, very quick comment. See, the difference between Shankara and Sri Aurobindo, what I see is this, that, see, Sri Aurobindo has seen the emergence of science. The world was changing. The world was changing. And he accepted it. He accepted the progress of science and what science was bringing to us. And he wanted to have a continued story of human knowledge from science to metaphysics. And he criticized, he's speaking about the Darwinian evolution. He says, Darwin just focuses on the external evolution. I'm talking about, Sri Aurobindo says, I'm talking about the inner evolution. So this is hand in hand. While Shankara's Advaita is purely philosophical, Sri Aurobindo's is more practical and realistic. Now, let me go trot on very cautious because it's a very slippery floor. See, I'm not saying that Shankara's philosophy is not practicable. That's not I'm saying. See, to conceive Shankara's Advaita, you need a lot of imagination and abstraction. But Sri Aurobindo is more realistic, and because he wants to put his foot firm on the ground, his world is real, and he wants to go along with science but transcend the limits of science. So this is the difference that I see between.
Very rightly said. I appreciate what you're saying, and I wanted to get your view on this. There's one more question that I have a little. I may not agree very much here. What you have written here, that this has led some to argue that Sri Aurobindo was influenced by the Shakta tradition, which appeared in various forms in Kashmir and in the Northeast, the school which credits reality to the world of experience as it is a product of the Shakti. Hence, it is said that his version of Advaita is a fine combination of both Pratyabhijna Vada and Advaita Vedanta. Now, you see, you are somewhere contradicting yourself, because when you said that Sri Aurobindo's philosophy is to be taken on Anubhava, but can we think that a person who is not writing his philosophy, but as I know, when the mother asked him to write in 1914 about what he has experienced, Sri Aurobindo said, I don't want to write philosophy. He said, no, you don't write philosophy, but you just put down your own experiences. So the entire Life Divine or Synthesis or any book that you take up is pure Sri Aurobindo's experience. But in that, can we say that it is a fine combination of Shakta? Combination means a thought level combination. You see, we have to be careful when we say that he was influenced by the Shakta. You see, he has the elements of Shakta, Tantra and everybody. But that does not tell us to say that he was influenced by. Can I do that?
Yes. See, this is a very popular theory. Actually, this is not my theory. This is something which is popularly been discussed, because you know that the Northeast, where Assam, West Bengal, even Odisha, those regions are where the Shakta traditions are live. And we have in the West Bengal, we have even now Shakta tradition very, very live. And whenever they speak about not only Sri Aurobindo, whenever even today, when a philosopher speaks about Advaita, there will be these elements of Shaktism being brought. So Abhinavagupta's type of non-dualism, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And by the way, now Abhinavagupta is more popular among philosophers than Shankara, because he is very fashionable. Yeah, he is very fashionable.
Turn of events, you see, Abhinava is very close to Sri Aurobindo. Abhinavagupta, his integralism is very close to Sri Aurobindo. So there is some kind of a switch over to integralism. And all those who are there towards integralism from the past, they are coming up more. Because I'm taking you from your sentence is more popular than Shankara. because the age of integralism is coming. And it has come actually.
Yeah, whatever Sri Aurobindo has predicted is happening. And only thing is that we philosophers, and this is the appeal to anybody who hears this video, that it is high time that we bring philosophers to the forefront. And not because I happen to be a philosopher, because philosophers, as Hegel has said, that they are the first flying birds, because they will have to set the orientation, give orientation to the society. And such thoughts and such levels of abstractions are required. So if we do this, then what Sri Aurobindo has predicted would happen. We will have the Gnostic being and the Siva minds that live in this world, provided we take up this responsibility. This is a responsibility to all the elders, that the leading academics of this country. Thank you for this opportunity, for saying this much to
I'm
Dr.
happy you have come out very frankly with your views, because I'm also nowadays thinking about all these things, and especially your writing, not only yours, all the other 20 authors have written on different, from Heraclitus to Plato to Shankara to Ramanuja, whole dearth of them. There's no dearth of them. This is the same thing that I'm seeing, that there is a revival of the ancient integral vision of life, of society, of the future of humanity. There is one thing that I'll share with you. In his book, Renaissance in India, which is about Indian culture. A brilliant book which really gives us the essence of Indian culture, from literature, religion, poetry, politics, and everything. In that, he notes somewhere that Indian spiritual history has gone through 3 different epochs. First one he calls as the Vedic Upanishadic age. Second one he calls it as the Tantra epics. The third one, he doesn't name it, but he goes towards an integralism. Okay. He doesn't use the word integral, but he says this is the age of the body. But a body, not a physical body of what we are carrying, but a body in the sense of the physical truths. That is where science is developing. That's where Vedas and all these things have to come back into life. And what you said, Abhinavagupta, and all those philosophers, and even your David Chalmers, and everybody is really thinking of this in part of Sri Aurobindo, because this is the age where there is the truth has to be developed in the integralism. So all said and done, what you just said, right, whatever Sri Aurobindo has predicted is coming true. He said this is the next age of Indian spirituality. So that is one thing that we are all converging upon. But Professor Sreekala, there's one thing that I wanted to ask you. In one of the conclusive paragraphs you have written, in Sri Aurobindo, the replacement of Maya with the concept of Leela, the divine playful intentionality to which the creation has been accorded, is not only in tune with the scriptural texts, but also goes well with the general understanding of a common man regarding the nature of the world and its creation. Yeah, this is the normal understanding. But there is one little paragraph in one of the chapters where Sri Aurobindo doesn't go very much with the concept of Leela, the world as the Leela.
I see.
He says, this is, as you said rightly, the general understanding of the common man. That's fine. He says that's good for the common man. But philosophically, he says, if I see the world as a Leela, where is the concept of evolution? And for Sri Aurobindo, any world without the concept of evolving world is not acceptable. Leela has only an eternal play, it's just going on horizontal level. But he says no, the world is evolving. You have also written somewhere, it is an incomplete universe, it is an incomplete manifestation, which over the evolutionary process is evolving. So Leela is more or less static, whereas he says no, I'll go for the evolutionary thing. So this is the common understanding of Leela. But in Life Divine, he does clarify that that is not his view. So we may have to change that, what you have said here, that about the Leela being accepted. Leela is a concept accepted, but that is not the status of the universe or the world evolving.
May I put in a word? See, what I remember, I have read Sri Aurobindo long back, but
I Pondicherry University.
yeah.
Pondicherry University, I
But
think.
secondly, of course, I had to teach Sri Aurobindo. Then also, Life Divine is always, the beautiful reading. And where I do remember Sri Aurobindo subscribing to Leela to this effect that, see, the initial plunge, when you
Yeah.
look for the cause of why the divine consciousness will have to take this decision to plunge into unconscious or insentience. Only for that, the principle of Leela, because there has to be a reason why it has to take this decision. That is the decombination problem and its explanation. So for that, the Leela is applicable. But then the Leela stops. Then the rest is all serious. And then you have the drive of the consciousness to come up, and then, to become the such. So this goes on.
Yeah, maybe the clarification is required. And of course, here Swami Medhananda, you have mentioned his questions. The question of, individuation, the problem of how and why, how is it possible for a single perfect divine consciousness to become various individual creatures, each with its own imperfection, etc. A series of questions raised by Swami Medhananda, whatever you have read. Now here, of course, you have explained that later, but one word, one phrase, maybe it would help you, that these are all questions if we base ourselves on the law of contradiction. If we are applying this law of contradiction, because of which all these questions of why and how the individual is becoming the cosmos, how the cosmos is becoming the individual, all these hows and whys are because we are applying the mental law of contradiction. Sri Aurobindo is logic of the infinite, as you have written also somewhere. So we have to subscribe to Sri Aurobindo's laws of infinite, not this mental law of contradiction. So I've written here, Medhananda has his own reading, but we don't have to subscribe. So you have made it clear, but I just pointed it out to you. Yeah, I think you have done a beautiful job toward the end, and also brought in a lot more the Ita Shani and all that. But I'm not conversant with Ita Shani's views. But you have given a comparison, it's brief, Ita Shani and Medhananda and other perspectives. And also somebody, this Shani, I was quite amazed to see, he just 2022, born in 2022, what's that? He has written this in 2022, very young man. I mean,
see what Medhananda is trying to do is trying to place, you were saying that he is doing a lot of logical jargons. But what he is trying to do is, see, in philosophy, particularly academic philosophy, we are engaged in arguments. See, unless you just can't say that I am a devotee of Sri Aurobindo and we know what Sri Aurobindo has done is all fine. And so we subscribe to that. So, though even if I say that, I have full conviction, but when we place him, when we try to bring him in conversation with contemporary philosophers, we have to place arguments. So Medhananda is trying to place arguments, and he is trying to make him converse with Jishani and Philip Goff, Strawson. He is doing a wonderful job, I suppose.
Yeah, in fact, what you're saying, I myself believe, just because I'm a devotee of somebody, I don't blindly subscribe to him, because on the philosophical level, I too must have questions and also answers. So I'm answering from philosophic point of view that Medhananda could be answered by the law of contradiction. It is not a Sri Aurobindo who has said that, but I'm myself proposing that if we apply this law of contradiction, we have all these questions. But we did not apply law of contradiction in philosophy. There's a law for science, scientific people. So that is what I'm finding. But what you have said is true, that yes, we should not be, because especially Sri Aurobindo, and I'm happy that so many young thinkers, like you have said, Stephen Phillips or Richard Swinburne or the Swami Medhananda, what I feel is, the world is converging. As one sentence that he spoke really triggered me off is Abhinav Gupta is becoming more popular than Shankaracharya. That's the time spirit, it is not a competition. It's a time spirit that has come to have an integral vision where materialism and spirituality both are equally accepted, not rejecting this or that. And their question of illusionism does not play much role because we are too much into this world materialism. And Sri Aurobindo takes off from there. He says, okay, you're all here, but from here also we can evolve. In fact, we are evolving. In that human cycle, he would tell us that after this symbolic age, how we come to the subjective age. From the subjective age comes to the spiritual age. So we are in the subjective age where we are asking ourselves questions. All these philosophers that you have mentioned, they're independently asking questions, but they're all integrally coming into together in Sri Aurobindo. And that's why I'm really happy to see. I mean, each one of you have dwelt with somebody from Marxism, somebody from, Gramsci, I forget the full name, is Italian Marxist. So every one of you that you have written, that you have contributed. For me, being an Aurobindonian here, I have a good view. But what I'm seeing that each individually is coming to Sri Aurobindo's philosophy, some part of the other. And I have repeated this with all my other interviewers. And that is what has inspired me actually. Long back in 1972, the mother had given a message that in the next 50 years, those who are open mentally would be absorbed by Sri Aurobindo's thought. And she mentioned that 1972, this is the 50th anniversary. So we have this 150th anniversary. She said in the next 50 years, those who are open mentally will be absorbed. You can see the word absorbed without knowing Sri Aurobindo. But what Sri Aurobindo is doing now is a thought consciousness which has spread across the world, be it Italy or Australia or New Zealand or Europe. There is a consciousness, Aurobindonian integralism consciousness, which is now spreading across the world. And all the young people, like you said, Shani, 22 years, everyone is absorbing the thought. And Sri Aurobindo and the mother had predicted that. So we started this 150th anniversary celebration of Sri Aurobindo with that quotation in mind. And my challenge was to see, why did I invite all of you to see, that tell me, is it true that what the mother has said, has it come true or not? And that is what is my conviction today, speaking to you, questioning you, asking about all the different thinkers. Somewhere the world is absorbing, knowing him or not knowing him. So we are not trying to promote Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo himself is spreading automatically in those minds where people are open to a new thought. And not
we don't have to promote him. He is there. We are blessed to talk about him. He needs no promotion. But we are blessed. And what is unique about Sri Aurobindo, when we compare about all these contemporary consciousness theorists, that he has foreseen these ideas almost a century ahead.
Yeah.
He was ahead of his times, that he has foreseen all this. Remember, he lived almost 100 years ahead of them. But still he is conversing with them and still going ahead. See, the non-locality, consciousness as creative, non-local, still thinkers are, playing with them because they are tied up with science. Sri Aurobindo is brave because he has the textual tradition and experience. With that, he says that, just as electricity, the iron box just uses electricity. Electricity is not been produced in iron box. So brain does not produce consciousness. It's a routine instrument.
Yeah.
Using consciousness. Consciousness is absolute. See, but only an Indian philosopher can come up with such pronounced statement. We should popularize his thought, not because we want to popularize him, so that the world immediately gets to know things are there. Yes.
That's why I said he is popularizing himself. We are not doing anything even by all this. That's why I like your title, coming back to that, when you said the solution is going beyond the West. This resolving our problem, we have to go beyond the West. Going beyond the West means what those thinkers are thinking. India, East, Sri Aurobindo have provided already the resolutions to all these questions of Chalmers and everybody. Well, that was an interesting thing, Professor Sreekala. I'm so happy to converse with you on an academic level and admiring the work that you are doing, every month to bring about on the same platform young and old thinkers, and having a kind of a very beautiful vision of the totality, because your deep knowledge of Sri Aurobindo gives you a very lovely foundation, because without that foundation you couldn't have dealt with so many different thinkers. I mean, the contemporary, in the past, West, East, South. So now I see this, that your strength, although you may not realize it yourself, but what I feel is you have a strength in the thought and belief in Sri Aurobindo. That has given you the strength to really combine, synthesize so many thinkers. Because I often tell my colleagues that Sreekala is doing a wonderful job. In fact, sometimes I'm envious because every month you do that, every 6 months also I can't do that. But congratulations, Sreekala. And thank you.
Thank you very much. I was given a chance to think of Sri Aurobindo. And most of what I said was, not a planned answer, but then I was just speaking from the heart.
That's what I'm saying. So it's not the paper, it's more the chat, as I said.
It's just a chat and the lovely thinking of Sri Aurobindo. It is as if, Sri Aurobindo came and sat with us and then had conversation with all of us. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, dear. Thank you, Lord. Welcome. We'll see you again.
See you.